This is the Word of God, a powerful, life-changing set of books including history, poetry, law, the gospel of Jesus, and more. In about 15 minutes per day, you can read the entire Bible in a year and see and hear what God's will is for your life. Let's read. 1 Chronicles chapter 12. Now these are those who came to David to Ziklag while he was a fugitive from Saul the son of Kish. They were among the mighty men, his helpers in war. They were armed with bows and could use both the right hand and the left in slinging stones and in shooting arrows from the bow. They were of Saul's relatives of the tribe of Benjamin. The chief was Ahiezer, then Joash, the sons of Shemaiah the Gibeathite, Jeziel and Pelet, the sons of Asmaveth, Barakah, Jehu the Anathothite, Ishmaiah the Gibeonite, a mighty man among the 30 and a leader of the 30, Jeremiah, Jahaziel, Johanan, Jozabad the Gederathite, Eluzai, Jeremoth, Bealiah, Shemariah, Shephatiah the Haraphite, Elkanah, Ishiah, Azarel, Joazar, and Jashobim the Korahites, and Joelah and Zebediah, the sons of Jeroham of Geder. Some Gadites joined David in the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty men of valor, men trained for war, who could handle shield and spear, whose faces were like the faces of lions, and they were as swift as the gazelles on the mountains. Ezer the chief, Obadiah the second, Eliab the third, Mishmannah the fourth, Jeremiah the fifth, Adai the sixth, Eliel the seventh, Johanan the eighth, Elzabad the ninth, Jeremiah the 10th, and Machbanai the 11th. These of the sons of Gad were captains of the army. He who was least was equal to 100, and the greatest to 1,000. These are those who went over the Jordan in the first month, when it had overflowed all its banks, and they put to flight all who lived in the valleys, both toward the east and toward the west. Some of the children of Benjamin and Judah came to the stronghold to David. David went out to meet them and answered them, "If you have come peaceably to me to help me, my heart will be united with you. But if you have come to betray me to my adversaries, since there is no wrong in my hands, may the God of our fathers see this and rebuke it." Then the Spirit came on Amasai, who was the chief of the 30, and he said, "We are yours, David, and on your side, you son of Jesse. Peace, peace be to you, and peace be to your helpers, for your God helps you." Then David received them and made them captains of the band. Some of Manasseh also joined David when he came with the Philistines against Saul to battle, but they didn't help them, for the lords of the Philistines sent him away after consultation, saying, "He will desert to his master Saul to the jeopardy of our heads." As he went to Ziklag, some from Manasseh joined him, Adnah, Jozabad, Jadiel, Michael, Jozabad, Elihu, and Zilithai, captains of thousands who were of Manasseh. They helped David against the band of raiders, for they were all mighty men of valor, and were captains in the army. For from day to day men came to David to help him, until there was a great army, like God's army. These are the numbers of the heads of those who were armed for war, who came to David to Hebron to turn the kingdom of Saul to him, according to the Lord's word. The children of Judah who bore shield and spear were 6,800, armed for war. Of the children of Simeon, mighty men of valor for the war, 7,100. Of the children of Levi, 4,600. Jehoiada was the leader of the household of Aaron, and with him were 3,700. And Zadok, a young man mighty of valor, and of his father's house 22 captains. Of the children of Benjamin, Saul's relatives, 3,000, for until then the greatest part of them had kept their allegiance to Saul's house. Of the children of Ephraim, 20,800, mighty men of valor, famous men in their fathers' houses. Of the half-tribe of Manasseh, 18,000, who were mentioned by name to come and make David king. Of the children of Issachar, men who had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, their heads were 200, and all their brothers were at their command. Of Zebulun, such as were able to go out in the army, who could set the battle in array with all kinds of instruments of war, 50,000 who could command and were not of double heart. Of Naphtali, 1,000 captains, and with them with shield and spear 37,000. Of the Danites who could set the battle in array, 28,600. Of Asher, such as were able to go out in the army, who could set the battle in array, 40,000. On the other side of the Jordan, of the Reubenites, the Gadites, and of the half-tribe of Manasseh, with all kinds of instruments of war for the battle, 120,000. All these were men of war who could order the battle array, and came with a perfect heart to Hebron to make David king over all Israel. And all the rest also of Israel were of one heart to make David king. They were there with David 3 days, eating and drinking, for their brothers had supplied provisions for them. Moreover, those who were near to them, as far as Issachar, Zebulun, and Naphtali, brought bread on donkeys, on camels, on mules, and on oxen, supplies of flour, cakes of figs, clusters of raisins, wine, oil, cattle, and sheep in abundance, for there was joy in Israel. Chapter 13. David consulted with the captains of thousands and of hundreds, even with every leader. David said to all the assembly of Israel, "If it seems good to you, and if it is of the Lord our God, let's send word everywhere to our brothers who are left in all the land of Israel, with whom the priests and Levites are in their cities that have pasture lands, that they may gather themselves to us. Also, let's bring the ark of our God back to us again, for we didn't seek it in the days of Saul." All the assembly said that they would do so, for the thing was right in the eyes of all the people. So David assembled all Israel together, from the Shihor river of Egypt even to the entrance of Hamath, to bring God's ark from Kiriath-Jearim. David went up with all Israel to Baalah, that is, to Kiriath-Jearim, which belonged to Judah, to bring up from there God the Lord's ark that sits above the cherubim, that is called by the name. They carried God's ark on a new cart, and brought it out of Abinadab's house, and Uzzah and Ahio drove the cart. David and all Israel played before God with all their might, even with songs, with harps, with stringed instruments, with tambourines, with cymbals, and with trumpets. When they came to Chidon's threshing floor, Uzzah put out his hand to hold the ark, for the oxen stumbled. The Lord's anger burned against Uzzah, and he struck him because he put his hand on the ark, and he died there before God. David was displeased because the Lord had broken out against Uzzah. He called that place Perez Uzzah to this day. David was afraid of God that day, saying, "How can I bring God's ark home to me?" So David didn't move the ark with him into David's city, but carried it aside into Obed-Edom the Gittite's house. God's ark remained with the family of Obed-Edom in his house 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom's house and all that he had. Chapter 14. Hiram king of Tyre sent messengers to David with cedar trees, masons, and carpenters to build him a house. David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, for his kingdom was highly exalted for his people Israel's sake. David took more wives in Jerusalem, and David became the father of more sons and daughters. These are the names of the children whom he had in Jerusalem: Shemua, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Ibhar, Elishua, Elpalet, Noga, Nepheg, Japhia, Elishama, Beliada, and Eliphalet. When the Philistines heard that David was anointed king over all Israel, all the Philistines went up to seek David, and David heard of it, and went out against them. Now the Philistines had come and made a raid in the valley of Rephaim. David inquired of God, saying, "Shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you deliver them into my hand?" The Lord said to him, "Go up, for I will deliver them into your hand." So they came up to Baal-perazim, and David defeated them there. David said, "God has broken my enemies by my hand, like waters breaking out." Therefore they called the name of that place Baal-perazim. They left their gods there, and David gave a command, and they were burned with fire. The Philistines made another raid in the valley. David inquired again of God, and God said to him, "You shall not go up after them. Turn away from them, and come on them opposite the mulberry trees. When you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the mulberry trees, then go out to battle, for God has gone out before you to strike the army of the Philistines." David did as God commanded him, and they attacked the army of the Philistines from Gibeon even to Gezer. The fame of David went out into all lands, and the Lord brought the fear of him on all nations.